You are on Tips and Streams with your host, Coca.
What's good, everyone? Welcome back to Tips and Streams. I'm Koken, and I hope you're doing well and feeling locked in wherever you're listening from. All right, let's get to the daily picks. I've got 4 NBA matchups on the card today, so buckle up. We're diving straight into the action. The first prediction for today's NBA games is for the game between the Toronto Raptors and Charlotte Hornets. When I break down this matchup in Charlotte, I don't just look at the standings or the win-loss column. I look at rhythm, matchup flow, and how each team actually wants to play this game once the ball goes up. And for me, this one sets up as a tight, grinding battle where points are earned, not gifted. Toronto comes in playing confident basketball. I see a team that wants to dictate tempo with length, physical defense, and constant pressure on the ball. They are at their best when they turn games into half-court chess matches, forcing opponents late into the clock and taking away first options. Scotty Barnes and Brandon Ingram give them size and versatility, and Toronto clearly wants to live in the paint, attack mismatches, and win the possession game rather than light up the scoreboard. But what stands out to me is that Toronto's success depends heavily on controlling pace. When that control slips even a little, their offense can flatten out, especially without a true interior anchor available. They don't overwhelm teams with shooting volume, and lately their perimeter efficiency has cooled off. That matters on the road, especially in a building where the home team plays with confidence and freedom. Charlotte, on the other hand, is finally showing signs of identity. I've watched this team struggle in the half-court all season, but when they get stops and play early offense, they look like a completely different group. Brandon Miller is growing into a go-to scorer who isn't afraid of big moments, and when his jumper is falling, it changes the geometry of the floor instantly. Add to that the recent shot-making from the supporting cast, and suddenly Charlotte has spacing they rarely enjoy. What really caught my attention was how Charlotte defended in their last outing. Holding a high-powered opponent under control wasn't an accident. The rotations were sharper, the closeouts were more committed, and the effort level was consistent from the opening tip. That doesn't suddenly make them an elite defensive team, but it does tell me they are locked in right now. This matchup becomes a contrast of styles. Toronto wants long possessions, physical drives, and defensive pressure. Charlotte wants pace, quick decisions, and early shot creation before the defense is fully set. At home, with momentum and confidence, I trust Charlotte to keep this game uncomfortable for 4 quarters. I don't need the Hornets to dominate. I don't even need them to win outright. I just need them to compete possession by possession, and everything I see points to that happening. The recent form, the shooting confidence, and the matchup dynamics all suggest this stays close deep into the 4th. My prediction is clear. I'm riding with the Charlotte Hornets to cover the 4-point spread at home. I expect a tough, physical game where Toronto may escape with a narrow win, but Charlotte stays right there until the final horn. Today's second prediction is for the game between the Denver Nuggets and Boston Celtics. When I sit down and really break this game apart, I see 2 teams heading in opposite directions under very different circumstances. Denver deserves credit for what they just pulled off in Philadelphia. That was a gutsy win, built on shot-making, effort, and coaching. But I've been around this league long enough to know that context is everything, and this spot in Boston is a completely different challenge. For me, the biggest separator here is availability and structure. Denver is walking into TD Garden, potentially missing its offensive engine and its interior backbone. Without Nikola Jokic orchestrating the offense, everything slows down for them. The spacing tightens, the reads become tougher, and suddenly a team that thrives on rhythm is forced to play in short bursts instead of long, controlled possessions. Even if a few questionable bodies suit up, this rotation is still thin, fragile, and stretched. Boston, on the other hand, is playing the kind of basketball that travels well across 4 quarters. What jumps out to me is their discipline. They take care of the ball, they don't beat themselves, and defensively, they choke the life out of teams on the perimeter. That matters a lot here. I expect Derek White to set the tone at the point of attack, and Jaylen Brown to live in that space between aggressive scoring and physical defense. This Celtics group knows exactly who they are right now. The numbers back up what my eyes are telling me. Boston is dominant when they dictate tempo, and this matchup plays right into that strength. Denver wants pace and flow, but Boston is elite at forcing opponents into uncomfortable half-court possessions. When you combine that with the Celtics' depth and their ability to stretch the floor with volume shooting, it becomes a math problem Denver simply isn't equipped to solve in this spot. TD Garden also matters. This building amplifies momentum, and Boston feeds off early defensive stops better than almost anyone in the league. If Denver falls behind, I don't see where the consistent scoring comes from to mount a real comeback. Over 4 quarters, the Celtics' pressure, discipline, and shot profile should steadily widen the gap. So when it comes down to it, I'm not overthinking this one. I respect Denver's fight, but this is a scheduling and matchup wall. My money is on Boston to control the game, control the pace, and pull away late. I'm laying the points with the Celtics. Their depth, defensive efficiency, and perimeter volume are too much in this environment. I'm riding with Boston to win and cover, and I don't feel the need to look back. The third prediction for today is for the game between the Los Angeles Lakers and the San Antonio Spurs. When I look at this Lakers-Spurs matchup in San Antonio, I see a classic spot where the number tells a very different story than the narrative. On the surface, the Spurs look like the safer side. Better overall record, home floor, and a team that has lived in the upper tier of the West all season. But when I dig deeper into recent form, shooting trends, and situational angles, I land in a very different place. Both teams are coming in with no rest, so I'm not giving either side a conditioning edge. What I care about more is how they've looked lately, and the Lakers have quietly tightened things up. Over the past couple of weeks, their defensive rotations have been sharper, the ball has moved with more purpose, and the shot quality has been noticeably better. This is not a team stumbling into San Antonio. This is a group that has won games by closing strong, especially late. From my perspective, the shooting numbers tell a key part of this story. Los Angeles has been extremely efficient, knocking down shots at a high rate, while holding opponents to well below average perimeter accuracy. On the other side, San Antonio has hit a rough patch. Their outside shooting has cooled off, and more importantly, their perimeter defense has slipped. They've been giving up too many clean looks, and that's dangerous against a roster with elite shot creators. Yes, Devin Vassell is expected back, and I respect his impact. He adds spacing and another scoring option, no question. But one player returning doesn't instantly fix a defensive issue that's been showing up night after night. I'm also not ignoring the fact that San Antonio has struggled to separate from this opponent in similar scheduling spots. History matters to me, especially when trends repeat themselves in back-to-back situations. Another big factor for me is star power combined with motivation. You don't often see a team led by the league's top scorer and a fully healthy LeBron James catching this many points. Even with some internal noise around the Lakers, I trust veteran leadership in games like this. I trust players who know how to manage tempo, weather runs, and keep a game within reach. Do I think the Lakers need to win outright? No, I don't need perfection. I need competitiveness, shot-making, and poise. Given San Antonio's recent shooting struggles and defensive leaks, I believe Los Angeles can stay attached on the scoreboard from start to finish. My prediction is simple and firm. I'm riding with the Lakers to cover the 8.5-point spread in San Antonio. I'm fading the home favorite narrative here. I expect this game to stay tight well into the fourth quarter, and my money is on the purple and gold to keep it close. Today's last prediction is for the game between the Phoenix Suns and the Memphis Grizzlies. When I break this matchup down from the ground up, this feels like one of those classic NBA spots where context matters more than the box score. I'm looking at legs, rhythm, roster availability, and most importantly, how each team is built to survive adversity on a given night. And for me, everything lines up toward Phoenix. The Suns are coming off a narrow loss in Houston, but I actually liked what I saw in that game. The effort was there, the defensive structure held up, and the execution didn't fall apart. The shots just didn't drop late. That happens over an 82-game grind. What matters to me is that Phoenix continues to show discipline on the defensive end. They protect the paint well, they limit ball movement, and they don't give teams easy rhythm looks. That's a sign of a team that travels well, even when the shooting comes and goes. What really jumps off the page for me is how consistently Phoenix has rewarded backers lately. This group has been a problem for the betting market, covering almost every night, and that's not an accident. They control tempo, They understand when to slow the game down, and they're comfortable winning ugly if needed. That versatility travels. Memphis, on the other hand, is walking into a brutal situational spot. They're coming off an emotional 1-point win, playing again with no rest, and doing it with a depleted rotation. I don't care how good the home crowd is. Tired legs show up on defense first. Closeouts get late, rotations break down, and second half offense turns into isolation basketball. That's exactly where Phoenix thrives. The Grizzlies already struggle to contain perimeter shooting, and that's dangerous against a Suns team that doesn't need volume threes. They just need clean ones. If Phoenix forces this game into a half-court setting, I don't see Memphis having enough consistent shot creation to match them possession for possession. For me, Devin Booker is the swing factor. When the pace slows and the game tightens, he's the one player on the floor who can manufacture offense without help. Against a tired defense, that usage becomes overwhelming late. I expect Phoenix to stay patient early, apply pressure through stops, and then stretch this game in the fourth quarter when fatigue sets in. I'm not overthinking head-to-head history or emotional angles here. This is about rest, structure, and execution. Phoenix checks all three boxes. My prediction: I'm riding with the Phoenix Suns to win this game and cover the 3-point spread. I expect them to dictate pace, lean on their defense, and pull away late once Memphis runs out of answers. This is a smart situational play, and I'm confident backing it.